Yeah. Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. Yeah, you know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Sound Sage. OnChain Revolution. Youngest. Phone.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live for the OnChain Hour, and today's show is going to be amazing, guys, because there's some stuff in there that is okay, and there's some stuff that is very, very macro boring, right? But it's all right. We got Bitcoin right now sitting at 96,519. We have Ethereum sitting at 3,322. We have a Solana sitting at $143. We have Tau coming at 282, back down from 300. I did think it was going to stay over 300, but we are seeing a little bit of pullback now. We have Merlin Chain sitting at 24 cents. Agent Hustle sitting at 0.0049. XRP sitting on just above $2 at 208. And then we have Hyperliquid, $24. So there's a lot of opportunity in this market right now. I am seeing the entire board right now red, except TradFi. Yesterday, we had the opposite. Yesterday, the entire TradFi was red and crypto is green. Does this mean we have to flip-flop? Does this mean we have to wait for TradFi to be red? Because if that's true, might be in a world of pain, right? Because everything is at an all-time high. The S&P 500, all-time high. NASDAQ, all-time high. Dow Jones, all-time high. Gold, all-time high. Silver, all-time high. Russell, all-time high. Crypto, 30% from its highs for Bitcoin. 50%, 40% from all-time highs for Ethereum. Solana is like 100% from its all. So a lot of room to move. I just gotta hope that it goes that way. So today we're gonna be looking at some privacy tokens. XMR is one of the few tokens that is pumping. It's up to $700. It is now the 14th largest coin. It could probably be seen as like the top 10 because you do have stable coins in there as well. So potentially Monero is a top 10 token right now. It is almost double the market cap of Zcash, which is insane. I did not know that was going to happen. So but without further ado, let's get the show started. Bringing my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's
going on, man? How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm tired. You called me out pre-show, looking tired. Definitely feeling a little bit tired, but got my coffee. I feel excited. Even though we are seeing the alt markets kind of respond a little weird, like it's pulling back, but Bitcoin as well. Just this morning's been a little bit volatile, jumping into the mid 96. Last night was some volatility as well. The one thing that was a constant positive is that it never really escaped 95 really, right? So, but kind of playing into a situation I talked about yesterday with the possibility of pulling back to that 95, maybe dipping a little bit into 94 for Friday tomorrow. So we're going to find out tomorrow and then let the weekend do its thing. Sunday, maybe get towards the end of that day where we pop back off to start a good week next week. that scenario could play out. But we'll see. We'll see. Other than that, some news headlines a little bit here with like privacy, like you mentioned. I think privacy could be one of those sectors that just isn't like super, super sexy, but from all aspects of Web3, investors, degens, institutions, they all could be aligned with, hey, this probably is going to go up. So that could be big for, those privacy tokens.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to cover them in depth. Real quick though, before we get into that, we do have Bitcoin sitting at 96.5. Today's the 15th. So we're halfway through this month. What are you thinking? Do you think we get a run up here, or do you think maybe we're going to lag here and potentially be below 100 at the end of this month?
I think we push it. I think we push, probably next week we try to get past that 100K. If I were to, put a bet on it, I would say I think we do cross over it. Now, I don't think we explode after that necessarily. I think we probably revisit the $100,000, market cap mark for Bitcoin and dance around it a little bit. And then unfortunately, I think after that, we probably see some reversal towards the end of this month. Now, if you're asking me what I think is going to happen heading into next week, I think next week's going to be bullish. I think we probably get a little confusion for tomorrow heading into Sunday, and then we start the week off pretty strong. That's my outlook. Of course, could be completely wrong with that. But that is what I'm feeling right now with what I'm looking at on the daily. We broke that resistance level. I don't think we broke that just to come right back down. You get what I'm saying? We haven't been able to break that $95,000 mark since, we weren't higher than 95,000 since mid-November. So that's a long time. So I think we hang out for at least another week in above that range and maybe test 100K, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we get it above 100K in January. I am expecting February and March now to be bearish, and I just keep staring at this chart. This is an ultimate head and shoulders, and I do think that we hit, at minimum. Whoop, where'd you go? Minimum, I think we get down to 74,000. Like I don't know why, man. I'm just kind of I'm listening to a lot of people talk, and I think we get up to, let's just say, right before February 2nd, we get to 101 before potentially just coming down here to about 76, and that would complete the head and shoulders, right? So it's kind of like it's one of those things where maybe we can go up to 110, right, before we come down. But I do think by the end of February, we're going to be down at like 76.
By the end of February. That would be interesting because I feel like that would be a pretty, depending on how we obviously end January, right? If we end January over 100K, which I don't think necessarily we do. I think we kind of flirt with it, like I mentioned. But if we do pull back into like the 95 range, if we were to pull from 95 to start February to like the end 74, that's a pretty big, the squares we look at in terms of months, you're looking at, I think, a pretty high percentage of decline from February to January. So I don't know. I'm not really in that thought process, but the pattern does seem to have that possibility, right? Maybe it delays a little bit longer and that happens more in March. Either way, you should probably plan for, some sort of drawback if that head and shoulders does play out.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have this, right? Because I'm really comparing this year to 2020. I do think we have,
but it was
18%, 20% in January, and then, having a 30% in February and March, right? Negatives. Very similar to what happened in 2020.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess vice versa doesn't matter to you, right? Like if it happens in February or happens in March is,
doesn't
kind
matter.
of, yeah.
Same.
So it's like one is going to be more impactful, but what you are saying is probably red for both. Because like the 8% drawback off of a 30% increase in January isn't as bad as it looks. You know what I'm saying?
Very normal. Yeah.
But we'll see what we get for February and then March. But I'm kind of in that boat where one's going to be, less negative than the other. We'll see which one plays out. I'm kind of flowing more into what happened in 2020, where February is a little bit less, doom and gloom, and then March will feel like that before going into the actual second quarter.
Yeah, and I'm bullish for this year, right? I do think April and May are going to be green, right? But I just think the first quarter of this month, and I'm saying this mainly because of what is happening in TradFi. TradFi doesn't just go up, TradFi has these like pumps and just like this, right? It goes up, comes down, goes up, comes down. I think we've reached a point now for at least the S&P where it's time to come down before next leg up. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. I'm thinking that we do get some kind of pullback on the S&P, which I think that it does affect the crypto markets and not in a good way. It could go the other way though. Money could flow out of the S&P, Dow Jones, the Russell, and everything else, and kind of flow into Bitcoin during this pullback that I'm kind of expecting here before we go up. But this would make sense though if we dump down to March, we get the new Fed in May. The market starts looking forward to that, and then we pump up because it's just kind of always happens. Like every time the S&P, it goes up, dumps, goes up, dumps, goes up, dumps. I'm kind of looking for that now. But I guess my question is, does Bitcoin dump with it?
Well, it hasn't necessarily correlated on the upside with them. I mean, if the correlation's there, it's pretty weak, so the S&P's taking off pretty strong and the top 10 stocks are going really strong, then Bitcoin might say, okay, well, I'm gonna join the party late a little bit. And it's almost kind of like Bitcoin, when it decides it wants to be aggressive, it's aggressive. But on the downside, sometimes it seems like it wants to join the party during kind of more aligned, right? So if the entire market does crash. And I would say as of late of the later part of 2025, that did kind of resemble a little bit of the upside as well, to where it was kind of like, well, Bitcoin's doing its own thing altogether, which is interesting because it started off aligned, I think, in the beginning of 2025 and the end of 2024. So it definitely is trying to kind of have its own, I guess, I don't know, trajectory here, but I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think it aligns with the overall markets close more or less than what it used to?
So in this downtrend right here, right, this was the tariff bullshit from February or March, right, where it just dropped down. Bitcoin had the same thing. Ethereum hit $1,300 during this period. Bitcoin got down to 77. So it was like the exact same period where Bitcoin hit 77 last time was this drawback here. So this was a completely macro event, right? And we are hearing rumors of Iran now, which would be a macro event. So in my head, 2020 we had COVID. What are we getting in March of 2025? Are we going to get a war with Iran? I feel like there's going to be something macro that brings down all markets, because all markets are hot right now. And we know BlackRock, we know these manipulators in the market, they want it to come down, right? They want people to buy high here, come back down, buy it cheaper, and then take it back off. Whether that's some type of macro event in March, I think we get some type of event, something in March.
Yeah, I hope it's not something as intense as COVID, but I think COVID's pretty hard to top, right?
Yes,
obviously,
that's a
like
pandemic,
that's a once in a century type of situation, right? And so these the Fed, these huge fund managers, I mean, the globalist type of situations, they don't, like, when the economy is good, like, they're not sitting there saying, okay, let's make it even better. Let's make it even better by, like, let's cut rates even more, like, aggressively. Because they know that, like, the cyclical, way to grow wealth by them having assets is not going to work that way. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where we are right now. But what happens, because we are out of tightening, we aren't officially into easing. We don't know if there's going to be this crazy liquidity event. But if there is a world event that can trickle into that, that's where it could play out. Because I think they have to look for where that liquidity is going to come from too. The money, and wars is one of them, unfortunately, right? And I hope that we don't do that, but I hope that there's another option there. But I don't know.
I mean, if we go into Iran and just get the leader, we just go around just picking off leaders,
and give me your ledger.
Venezuela.
Yeah, I see that ledger over there on your desk by your cigarettes.
What's the code there? What's the 24? I think ledgers is 24 words. What's your 24 words there, buddy? But yeah, 100%. Getting to the comments before we get into our first topic here. Bitcoin is truth is here. K99, Satoshi Nakamoto, Spindrift, Blazing Bandit, GM, Shizzy, Yagobi, chat. Appreciate you, Ryan. We missed you yesterday, Ryan. I was thinking, yo, the chat is quiet. Oh, yeah, my man Ryan isn't here. Glasshopper is here. Says road trip Thursday. Where you going, Glasshopper? Where you going? Jason Sinkar is here, my guy. Yo, where's your XCN, bro? I don't see your XCN post. I'm waiting for it. Patty Poo is here with a sup, and then myself. Imagine having billions of dollars and controlling a swarm of trading bots.
Wait. So is that could be so many different people he's talking about? Like, is it Pump Fun?
Who do you?
Is it Pump Fun?
BlackRock?
Is it BlackRock? You can go anywhere with that one, right? Binance, man. So, yeah.
There he goes. There it is. XCM autonomy. Autonomy, is that short for autonomy? I'm curious now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, XCN. Shout out to you, my friend. But let's get into our main topic of today. Privacy takes over on-chain assets could be led by the narrative in 2026. So it really just comes down to a article that we found on DeFi Llama News, which I didn't know existed, but now I am loving it. I think it is an amazing news site. But what do you think, man? Zcash soars after SEC scraps investigation into privacy coins.
Privacy to me isn't the sexy category just because it's just okay, cool. Like I can do transactions privately, which I mean, I think it's the idea of it's more of an impact than it being like the sexy sector, right? And so now that I feel like me personally, this is my personal opinion. I'm not sure exactly where your stance is, but I feel like institutions they want privacy. They want privacy as much as possible. They want everybody to know what's happening. And also, a lot of these are proof of work style tokens. So they're kind of like private with the old way of doing things and opportunity because the sector hasn't really extremely blown up now recently. I mean, the crazy part is it's been volatile because of the attention that it's gotten from whether that's KOL groups or institutions or whatever. You saw Zcash do some crazy things over the summer leading into the fall. Now you're seeing Monero do some crazy things right now. So is this going to be a sector that is preferred by institutions? And are they going to highly regard the asset class? Or do they want these protocols to be kind of hush hush in the in the dark areas of the space to where they're just like, we don't want everybody knowing that like we want to use these chains or this type of approach. So we're going to find out, if they're going to really try to push these tokens and say this is where a lot of the real value is in the space because it could be private. But then there's like a contrarian, probably like a contrarian stance from the governments, global governments, because they don't like it for retail. So is there going to be an institution or regulators that come in and say, okay, institutions can use this because they have like a license, but retail can't? I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
For sure. I don't think it's the institutions that are buying up these coins, though. Do you? I think this is Bitcoin maxis.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of this is OG cyberpunks, right? I think what you're talking about though is 100% true because I do think JP Morgan uses Railgun.
They'll do their own.
I think they'll just use the open source stuff that's already there. Railgun's open source. Tornado Cash is open source. I think you said it last week, and I think you were perfectly by saying it is the institutions are going to use stuff like Tornado Cash when the founder's in jail. The guy who wrote the code is in jail, but JP Morgan's.
I think he got out though. I think because they dropped the case, right?
He's still in jail.
Oh, because I'm pretty sure the EU probably that is he in the United States jail?
I have no idea.
Gotcha.
I know. I saw someone recently talking about freeing him, and if it's not him, it's another. There's another guy who just got arrested or something.
But they're dropping that case though, right? Eventually.
Yeah, I think so. In the U.S. anyway. I don't know where he's at personally, but yeah, I think the founder of Tornado Cash is still arrested. Let me know if I'm wrong, guys. If I am wrong, but I think that Monero, Zcash, Dash. I mean, these are all forks of Bitcoin, just done in a privacy way. This is Bitcoin maxis, in my opinion, saying, okay, now Bitcoin is now a TradFi asset. It's not sexy anymore. We're going to go to stuff like Monero that has that cypherpunk ideology and stuff like that with it. Do you think that's true? Do you think this pump is from the Bitcoin maxis?
So I think you do have a point that it's probably most likely like either maxis or these OGs in the space that maybe think that privacy is going to be a big sector that does well. I think it does do well, but the institutions side of it, right? So what they might personally use, I think what they probably will personally use is their own stuff, or stuff that's like more, not so publicly in the spotlight. But I do see, these personalities, not necessarily like Tom Lee, but somebody that's, similar in terms of, has influence and things like that, talk about, this space being an opportunity because privacy is getting more and more attention. I don't think it's sexy, but it's more of like, they can explain why it's important, right? And basically give it points, like Raoul Paul, for example. I think he would be someone that could, that stature, not necessarily his personal opinion, but that type of person could really push privacy even further, talking to CNBC and those type of groups.
Yeah, for sure. Paul seems, though, to be someone who's he likes Sui, right? He talks about Sui. He talks about these Solana competitors and stuff like that. He used to be 100% in ETH, and then he was like a Solana guy. Now he's like he's moved to Sui and stuff like that. So I do get what you're saying, though. It could be somebody of his stature that comes out, but I just feel like a lot of these guys are always worried, like with privacy and stuff like that. They're always just kind of like, and it's such a weird thing, because these big institutions, they want privacy, but they don't want you to have privacy, right? They want to make sure in your taxes and all this stuff. So it's so weird to me that it's like a fine line, and our space is so new that everyone's like, oh, privacy is such a big thing, but in reality, they don't want you to have privacy. They want the privacy.
I think that's a conflict that they're probably dealing with, right? Is if there is pushback from governments about privacy, then the on-chain sleuths can just be like, well, hold on a second, how come JP Morgan's able to do so much private transactions, but I can't? Like, why are they able to do that?
And then you get a privacy license.
Okay, so there you go. So this is kind of like in the beginning of infrastructure build outs, right? Like there's many things I think that like these entities like BlackRock and JP Morgan are trying to deal with right now. First of all, just the global aspect of financial infrastructure changing, but then like these type of situations as well. Like the public has more like visibility than ever before. Right. And we're going to see how that plays out, because you could definitely argue that in court in terms of, or try to get, pushback with the people that represent your space. And we'll see if they're truly on the side of the people or not.
Yeah, and I think we're good with this administration, as long as the Democrats don't take over Congress. But when we get a Democratic president again, whether that's 3 years from now or 7 years from now, I do think they crack down on a lot of this privacy stuff for the individual and allow it for the banks. Obviously the Democrats they're banking, right? Elizabeth Warren, the banking broad, right? She's 100% like there to support the banks and whatever the banks want. Especially, we're gonna get into it in a little bit, but the Clarity Act and stuff like that being manipulated there. So we'll get into that later. But yeah, real quick. So Monero is now the 14th biggest coin in the world. You can probably say that it's actually in the top 10 if you take out Lido Ether, you take out Tether, you take out USDC, it moves up. You take out Figure Helic, it's a top 10 coin, right? So yeah, it's definitely a top 10. It's actually top 9 if you take out all the wrap tokens and the stable coins.
Dang, that HELOC token is number 11.
It's a stable coin. I was looking into this thing.
It's okay. But it has to do something. It has to do something with mortgage, I would imagine, or some sort of financial, like association with HELOC. The way that
unlock
HELOC
your
is
home
used.
equity.
There you go.
You get like this. You get this token, but like again, it's not like a real token. It's just backed 1-to-1 with the stable coin that's backed.
Yeah.
But look at this. It dropped down to 20 cents. On October 30th. I don't know what the hell happened.
That smells like TradFi all over it.
I know, but it's just been a dollar. It's a stable coin, people are saying. There's just not a lot of liquidity yet, so we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, Monero top 10 over Zcash. Why do you think that is?
Rotation probably, as
Yeah.
well as, you know, just trying to keeping that privacy meta going. And it's kind of it's smart for these whales, huge whales. You know, they're like, how can we make money without joining the hardcore casino? You know, and something that's going to be more attractive to people that use centralized exchanges or institutions, possibly, right? More probably like the VC side, because VC still invest in tokens. They just don't right now. I don't think they're trying to get into too many new startup stuff, right? So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a rotation, because doesn't it feel almost exactly like how Zcash's rise up is playing out? How this played out versus Zcash's in the summer?
Yeah, 100%. And then the team walks away, and then everyone's like, "Oh no, pivot!" Like, go to the next one, go to the next one, and then who knows? It could be it could be Dash next, right? Like if you go to categories and then go down to privacy, I think Dash is the number 3.
So what would
So,
make you feel like, okay, I need to go into Dash next? Do you need, because like for me, I'm thinking immediately I need to see a good jolt move up, like a good jolt. So, you know, maybe jump up about 10%, you know, somewhere close to 10%, and say, okay, you know, they're trying to make this move for Dash to rotate into Dash. But what's your thought process on it?
I mean, Dash is up 100% on 7 days, right? Dash is moving, right? So it's like, and then you got stuff
Dang,
like Decred up
100%?
100% on 7
And
days. Yeah.
okay, so that ding ding ding, that's
Yeah.
something that's telling me. But would I? Yeah, I would probably I would roll the dice right now, because like,
Yeah.
you know, like Monero's what, seven, you know, sitting at what, how much market cap now?
Uh,
Something.
12 billion, 12.9 billion.
Okay. So, and it's jumped up quite a bit, right? So it's probably going to eventually curb a little bit. And then, yeah, it seems like Dash they could be setting it for the next one to rise up. Interesting.
Yeah, for sure. But for me though, I don't know if I want to get in privacy like right now, right? I'm just kind of like, Pirate Chain is up 158%. Like I feel like if you're getting in now, you're buying the top on a lot of these coins, right? Maybe something like Tornado Cash, potentially, and stuff like that, because it's only like a $45 million token, stuff like that. So I don't know. But I don't know if I'd be buying privacy now. I think it's too late. Can it go up another 30, 40, 50%? Yeah, it probably could, but I think buying it.
But why would they stop the rotating into like the next popular one? Because I feel like Dash is in line after Monero.
Yeah, I mean,
but
Monero's up 50%, though Dash is up 100. So it's
but then we could also ask ourselves, like, why did the 4-year cycle screw us this time, right? Like versus previous cycles. So yeah, I mean, at some point
the
it
maxis
might
are
stop.
saying the 4-year cycle happened.
Yeah, I'm saying, I said,
yeah.
but I mean, like, screw us as in like the overall space. Like, where alt didn't really thrive.
Yeah, for sure. I found a really cool privacy while we're on here. So it's called privacycash.org, and it's this little ghost thing up here. And if you guys are interested, you can send. And this is, they're backed by some pretty big names. Alliance, which is huge investment, crypto leading accelerator and founder network. So this is interesting if you guys are looking to do private transaction on Solana. This is just launched this morning. Swap privately. Now you can swap Solana into USDC, UST, Zcash, ORE. Obviously, this is all on Solana. So I wonder, I guess it's Zcash on Solana. Swap to privacy. I guess you can go right to Zcash. That's pretty cool. So yeah, you can basically use this. It kind of reminds me of what we had on Track or Tap. Ghost Zcash, remember that? So
What's
it's very
that in the
similar
top
to
left of your browser there? A little
it looks
ghost
like
up
a
there,
little
right?
ghost up there. I don't. And do you think this is Ghosty Cash, the team that was building on Track or Tap or whatever they call themselves?
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all if that was the case, right?
Yeah, because remember what they were doing? They were using centralized exchanges and stuff. Like it was like they were using all this stuff. It seems like they're doing the same thing here, especially when you're going to Zcash.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Go to or stuff like that. But yeah, definitely I'm definitely gonna be using this the swap here. So why not? It's a small fee as well, but definitely check out privacycash.org. I'm gonna keep looking into trying to find some. They do not have a token. So potentially if you are using it, you might get an airdrop. So kind of why I brought it up. But yeah. Yeah, you can now privately swap supported tokens on Privacy Cash, powered by the same protocol that has already processed 173 million in private transfers and passed 14 audits. So this has passed 14 audits today, officially. So not today,
Wow.
but over the course of the last couple of months. But the audits just came back today. Let's get into some comments before we get into the Bitcoin and crypto price action here. Let's see, where would I leave off? Where I leave off? I think Stan says Wimble, Glass Hop
Litecoin.
across the lake to Lower Michigan, Lake Michigan. I think of that Kid Rock song where he talks about Lake Michigan. Blazing Bandit says, "Yo, when Lambo Financial will file on ETH, 1,000 total coins in pumping, 220 a coin was like $80 a coin a week and a half ago. What the hell are you? When Lambo Financial? Okay, all right." I don't really know what that is. I'm sitting here saying, I see Will-Fi, and I'm like, Will-Fi at $220. I think it's like 0.003. Myself says you can't steal tax what you can't see. Yeah, can't steal tax. I like that. Blazing Bandit says she has 38 amendments. Yeah, she's terrible. Myself says I knew Monero would get back to the top. It always does. Blazing Bandit says Sky. So unlock the 18th. Unlock on the 18th, I believe. Yeah. Ondo, there's a massive unlocks for the Trump token for Ondo. Should have grabbed that for the news today, but yeah. Myself says Zcash isn't truly private at the core code level.
Yeah.
I heard about that. You have to like turn it on. Monero is 100% private.
Yeah, so that's an interesting part of their protocol, but like the fact that you can do it pretty easily, is still in that category.
I don't even know how to do it. Like I use Zcash because I was buying Zordinals, and I didn't even know. Like maybe it was the wallet I was using didn't have the maybe it's the wallet provider has the button. I'm not sure.
I'm assuming, for clarity, I'm assuming that it's easy because like if it wasn't, then I think there would be a lot more call outs about it.
I just think it's the wallet provider, right? I think you just turn it on, turn it off. So it probably is super easy. I just don't think
Settings.
most people really, probably in the settings. I think most people just don't use it. They're just, most people that buy this privacy stuff don't buy it for privacy. They buy it for the number to go up, right? So
that's our space for you.
Blazing Bandit said we got 4 unlocks happening within the next week. Yeah, definitely. Dash was one of the best plays 2 cycles ago. Thank you, Amanda B. Johnson. I'm not sure who
Amanda B. Johnson. Yeah,
not sure. Cordy Johnson says Dash potential is outrageous. I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's up 100 and something %, which is crazy. Blazer Bandit said liquidity cycle is 5.4 years, so it could go to that. You know what Raul Paul was talking back in March. Myself says Darrow is a privacy play with smart contracts. Still waiting on that to come out. Interesting. I'll have to look in that Darrow. And then the great Albert says XMR reminds me of Bitcoin in 2014 when it was a bad boy on the block. I mean, that's what people are saying right now, right? It's a fork of Bitcoin. It just goes through these privacy networks and stuff like that. So I gotta look more into it. To me, though, I'm not. I think it's maybe. I don't know if it's a good buy here. I don't know if it's a good buy.
Yeah.
Let's get into any last words on privacy.
I mean, just the fact that like I do think that the opportunity continues because if it wasn't that that big of an opportunity still for even in the future, I don't think chains like Solana would be investing in it, and they put out grants for people that can create a good privacy protocol, right? So we'll see where it goes, but I think it's hot. I think it's hot, and I think it remains hot. Maybe not so crazy to like everybody's like in their mom is jumping into crypto because of that, but yeah, I think we have a continuation of the sector succeeding this year.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see for sure. Let's get into the crypto price action and crypto bubbles. Looking forward to kind of seeing where we're going, man.
Yeah, hopefully I can help out with that, right? And if you are new to the show, just to let you guys know, this is just a high-level kind of showing where we feel like the pulse is heading for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the alt market, right? So, but before we get into that, if you could help us out on the YouTube side, smash that like for us, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on so you know when we go live on X. Share the space for us, guys. Let's get as many people in here as possible. Make sure you follow us on X as well. And shout out to the Zora stream community, Pump Stream, streams. Abstract, what is going on with you guys? Come on, let's get out there on the timeline. I need some Luca Nets out there seeing what's going on with that. And then obviously we have what is it called? Twitch, and can't think of the other one that we have that's they just got the wall Rumble as well. So appreciate all you guys. You guys are definitely awesome for supporting us. But let's take a look here at Bitcoin on the hour chart. We are seeing some sideways action here. We did see us wick up to 98 yesterday about 2 p.m. So 3 p.m. Eastern. But one thing that I was talking about earlier was I don't think we, broke this resistance just to kind of head straight back down. Like to me, like it wouldn't make sense, but we have seen stuff like that happen. So that's why I think we probably go a little bit sideways, and then maybe next week we start to go back up, and then we'll see what happens after that, because I am still kind of thinking towards the end of the month that we do have a pullback. But yeah, so for today though, it definitely looks like we are seeing some pullback happening. We're seeing some of the remove that. We're seeing the MACD here get a bit bearish, right? So the sentiment's getting bearish. There's we thought it was going to close up here a little bit, but we had the reversal to keep it open. So this extension seems to want to continue here, right? So we didn't quite make it. I guess we barely got over the 50-point mark on the stochastics to seem like we wanted to head back to the overbought territory, but reversed right here, and looks like we're heading back to possibly oversold, right? So as of right now, it's just kind of a bearish sentiment that I'm seeing, mildly bearish sentiment. But with that being said, if this starts to curl down, we can see this get more intense. We can see these MACD candles get more intense and become bigger. Then we can see a pull back to like 95, low 95,000, maybe high 94s, right? Leading into tomorrow. So that is what I'm thinking, right? Some chop here that we've been experienced with a little bit of downtrend, which is fine. We have to remember, we were at 91 to start the week and then got to 98. So we're just kind of, chopping with a little bit of downtrend. And that's what I'm seeing for the rest of today, honestly, is a little bit of downtrend with a chop. And so wouldn't be shocked if we get to mid 95s, low 95s, and then, just kind of chop back and forth, tease 96 again, that kind of thing for the rest of today. And so that's what I'm seeing on the hour chart. And then you go to the 4 hour. The 4 hour looks like it wants to close up this buy pressure for the MACD. So giving a little support to that mild downtrend with the chop is what I'm seeing here. We were up here and overbought and hanging around that 80-point mark on the stochastic for a long time. Really, you go back to here Sunday. And when I say long time, I mean like 5 days. But this was after enjoying our breaking that resistance level here. So seems like it does want to participate in what I think is going to be more of a subtle downtrend, right? Not anything super intense, but 94, high 94s is something that could be there on the table, heading into Sunday evening. And then we'll see what happens then. So the 4 hour does give support to that thesis on the hour chart that probably see chop to a little bit of the downside. And so let's go to the daily. Daily does have this. I mean, this has been in the buy pressure session for quite some time. We're talking about the end of November, right? But to get one more week, I could see we could squeeze another week out of this. So if that's the case, then next week we could have that testing 100K, and then we'll see when this ends. And so I always get a little bit nervous whenever we have too long of an extension of buy pressure or sell pressure sessions, and this one's been going on for quite some time, right? End of November till now. So do we have another week? Again, I don't think we broke this resistance just to head right back down. So that's why I think we do get another week. But does that end up stopping in the middle of next week, towards the end of next week? We're going to find out, and those could definitely be real scenarios that are on the table. And so that is where I'm thinking on the daily there. Let's take a look here at the weekly chart. The weekly chart, though, it looks good. And this is one of the reasons why I feel like, parts of February is going to be good. It's just like, I can't imagine us going out of this, sell pressure session on the weekly chart to form a green candle. If that happens, right? We still need that to happen. We need this blue line to cross this orange line. And then we start, a buy pressure session. And then we could have a scenario where we just barely get a couple of green candles. That definitely could happen. But I imagine if we do get a green candle or two, then we'll see some pop up and aggressiveness in February at some point. But first, we got to close this. That's the number one task, right? Close this up, get out of the sell session, and before we can even talk about how aggressive the buy pressure session is going to be. And it could extend in reverse here as well. That could be a scenario. So as of right now, I think getting back above that 50 SMA for Bitcoin on the weekly chart should be a task that we all want the Bitcoin to accomplish. Because we could say, this could have been like that COVID situation created by 1010 to where price just tanked. And then now we're heading back above this and we can carry on this year. We'll see. That is the weekly setup though there. And so let's get into ETH really quick. ETH has been looking pretty strong as well. But on the hour, definitely this extension happening. So probably some you see a head and shoulders here for sure. For ETH,
that's what I just said. I was like, I was on mute, but I was like, damn, there's a head and shoulders there.
Yeah, right. Shoulder,
dude, that could drop that down to 3120.
Yeah, and it makes me kind of wonder what the hour looks like here too. I mean, no, not as much. Yeah, so ETH definitely has more of the pattern here, but I don't know why ETH would just die so much harder than Bitcoin would. But the pattern
31 is Ethereum's more volatile than Bitcoin, right? So 31, I mean, that's only what, $200. It's very common.
Yeah, I don't know, because I feel like it would be pretty intense for it to flow down and have symmetry with this.
That would be Bitcoin money flowing back into Bitcoin, right? All coins bleeding out.
I mean, it could, but that would mean that Bitcoin's, they're expecting Bitcoin to get a little aggressive to the upside. So which could happen. That weekly chart does show that that's a setup. That's definitely a setup there. So, but we'll see how this plays out. Something to watch for sure. So you can see this definitely wants to have a continuation for the sell pressure session here for ETH on the 1 hour, the 4 hour, giving some support to that thesis as well. Wants to close up out of this buy pressure session. So ETH is definitely something, a token to keep your eye on. Does it do that? Does it free fall down? The daily looks pretty good though. This extension looks pretty good on the daily. I'll tell you, it's a lot more intense. So your claim to the volatility is definitely showing here on the daily chart. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there on the hour and the 4 hour, because those are definitely two that are way more aligned. And the daily kind of says, hold on, let's see what's going to happen here. So that's Bitcoin, Ethereum. Bitcoin chop with a little bit of downside is kind of what I'm thinking today. Ethereum similar, but maybe a little bit even more aggressive. And we'll see how it plays out heading into Sunday evening, because that's going to be a really big day to get a good feel of sentiment heading into this next week. But that's Bitcoin, Ethereum for you guys. The crypto bubbles are saying ill because they are red. If you look at the top 100 here, you're looking at about 90% pullback with a 10% pull up. The stuff that sticks out to me, Story Protocol having another bloody day, pulling back 30% here. And
it's the exact opposite of yesterday. Story Protocol was up 30%. Now it's down.
Was it?
Tia was up 6%. Now it's down.
So it must have been.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it must have been down the day before then, because I remember it having a pretty big gut punch in recent days. You see that, and then you see midnight pulling back about 13%. And everything else here in the top 100, you're looking at about 6 to 8% on average. WolfEye down 8.5%, Pepe down 8.5%, Bonk down 10%. Nothing really in terms of sector per se. A lot of it's just kind of just clumped in together. If you can see here, obviously, privacy is probably looking a little bit stronger, but I'm not seeing that really too much either, because the stuff that's green, I've already went over. Rain up 8%. ICP, and then these other green ones are barely just green. They're like 3% pull back up. So yeah, it's mostly just a pullback sell-off day is what I'm seeing here in the top 200. You see,
real quick, I see Chainlink's down, which is really surprising because they had the ETF yesterday. At the bottom,
maybe they pumped yesterday and then people are selling today for taking profit type of situation.
Yep, got it. I'm sorry.
All right, let's take a look here. And then in the top 100 to 200.
Yeah, you're in the 100. You went back for me.
Oh shoot, that's right.
There you go.
top 100 to 200 stuff that's sticking out here. DCR up 17%, Frax up 17% as well, CCD up 13%, Bard up 4%, Merle up 2.5%, and then QRL up 8.8%. Everything else really pulling back on average about 5 to 8%. About the same situation there. Lit Protocol taking a little bit bigger of a hit because they did have a pretty good run about a week ago. So yeah, markets overall, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and alts seem to want to pull back a bit today, which is going to be interesting to see how tomorrow ends, right? Because a lot of times there'll be ebb and flow type situation with our market where you'll have like a pullback day, the next day kind of a rebound day. And I was thinking and hoping a little bit we stay around 95, 94 to 95, 5 maybe for Bitcoin, because then I think maybe we could have more of an intense push up on Sunday evening if we get that. So tomorrow's price action should be a fun one.
Yeah, for sure. You know who's been getting like really beaten up, man? It's Crypto Bacon. Every coin that he called
He's
Lit
really
Protocol
smart guy too.
last week. He was like, I'm buying more Lit Protocol in this pullback, and the Lit Protocol has been down only since. And then he got beaten up on WillFi. He got killed on WillFi. He was buying that at like 40 cents, and now I think it's like 18 or 19 or something like that. So I've been watching him. I watched the video with one of them yesterday, and dude, he's not doing well. Like everything he's called over the last year it's been pretty bad. He called Brett. He's like bullish. He's been bullish on Brett, but Brett's been getting really handed and won the Solana base meme coin. So yeah, I was thinking about that. But let's get into some macro news here. The crypto market structure bill was delayed because of big banks. Banks do not want real competition. DeFi and stablecoins threaten their core business. This bill, in its current form, limits that competition instead of encouraging fair innovation. Even JP Morgan CFO said clearly if stablecoins are allowed to offer yield, banks will see large money outflows. Brian Armstrong came out and said that after reviewing the Senate Banking Committee's draft crypto market structure bill, Coinbase cannot support the legislation in its current form. Robinhood CEO came out and he said that the most requested thing for Robinhood is staking, stable coins and other stuff. And this bill is supposed to clarify all that stuff there. So what do you think, man? The banks are worried about you not needing banks anymore. What do you need a bank for if you can have stable coins in your MetaMask wallet?
Yeah, this is something that we've been talking about too on the show going back to last year. Obviously, stablecoin yield for really strong protocols that you don't have to worry too much about is a huge threat to the banking system because they want you to park your money with them and not in a stablecoin protocol. And so it's going to take away a lot of purchasing power for banks if this goes through, right? And we've known this for a long time that this is something that the system has been worried about, and this is why the Elizabeth Warrens and stuff have been hand selected to fight this. It's because they knew that if this day were to come, this could end a lot of these financial institutions, and it trickles up, not down, trickles up to how it affects, and that ends with the BlackRocks, the fund managers, the asset holders, and obviously the Fed as well, because the Fed is the representation of this entire sector.
Yeah, 100%. And imagine this, right? Imagine you have a job, you get direct deposit paid in USDC, right? Whether that's from like an X402 payment network, right? Where your boss, whatever, it's just automatic payments using X402. And then, potentially you just wake up that morning, it's in your wallet, right? And then you can pay your mortgage using X402 as well, where you set, hey, $1,200 or $2,400 is my mortgage payment, or whatever your mortgage payment is, and then it just directly just goes, right? Using X402, this is the most you can use, and it just goes to the bank on the first. Well, why would you need a bank? Like, there's no reason for me to have a bank at that point if I'm able to pay my credit cards, my mortgage, my cell phone bill with stablecoins. I would never use a bank again.
Yeah, so obviously the biggest hurdle would be trust and security. right? So if there's these entities that can offer that, more, if I was the banks, I would be trying to figure out how to create amazing products using blockchain. And the biggest thing is they don't want to give up the interest share to the consumer. That's the thing, right? Because that's their bread and butter in terms of it works in all aspects of where their industry. It's like, as long as we get those interest payments continually, if we can lend money out, then that's such a winning, formula. And they count on that gap of revenue or profit that they take and give back to the people that open these high interest savings accounts that are getting like pennies, really, right? And so this threatens them big time, right? But why not just increase your I guess like market share for people that are wanting to put more money, more cash into these type of accounts? Sure, they'll earn more interest. Don't be too greedy, just be happy with the couple points that you get and give them a couple more points. And then the people that are more leaning towards, is this is 100% safe and stuff like that, you can win those regular everyday people over.
Yeah. You got to remember though, Coinbase and Willfire are trying to get banking license, and they both have, Coinbase has USDC, Willfire has, USD1, right? So now the banks are competing with these stablecoin creators, and they're like, the banks are always going to be chasing. They're always going to be chasing because like the second the bank says, okay, we're giving 2% yield, Coinbase is like, we're giving 3.5. Willfire's like, we're giving 4.7. And then you have a new stablecoin provider come out of nowhere and say, we're doing 6.8. You know what I mean? And these banks are going to be like, what do we do? What do we do? And then they're going to be losing customers because you're getting 6.8% on your stable coin just sitting in, a custodian or something.
Yeah, but
right?
but
So
I
it's
do.
like,
Yeah, I think there's going to be a kind of a scaling shift though, or a shift that they use like this like scaling risk type of exposure, right? So the higher APR, the more risky, because the lower
disagree.
APR, I think that the people will get away with it. So you're going to exchange like safety in terms of, okay, I'm guaranteed this much or whatever if something goes wrong, and that's why I'm taking a couple points less, because that's how it's been in our space. In a sense, it's like you really like the higher APR that started to get crazier and crazier. You eventually realize that was vapor. That was a lot more risky than But then you can go back to what Luna that was offering 20%, I think, or something.
Yeah.
And then Galaxy Digital that was offering pretty high too, and stuff like that. Or not Galaxy Digital, sorry, they did the Russian guy that was Celsius that was offering pretty high APR on Bitcoin. Yeah, right. So I do think there's a give and take with that, but if the person is willing to risk that, then that's up to them individually.
Yeah, but like I'd feel more safe with my money in Coinbase and crypto.com and then more than JP Morgan or PNC or Wells Fargo, right? In that sense, is like for me, it's like I'd rather my money be in Coinbase than be in my bank.
But why do you feel more safe? I'm curious.
Because the banks, I just feel like the banks are just so terrible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm afraid to go to get in my account one day and my card's not working because my account got shut down because I did crypto access. We've seen this happen. We've seen somebody send money from Coinbase to their bank, and their bank say, come get your money, come withdraw your funds. You're shut down, right?
Yeah, but they give you your money, right?
Yeah, but I'd still feel safer in Coinbase. I'd rather have my stablecoin sitting in Coinbase. Like, and then if I'm getting more percent, same thing. I'd rather be supporting crypto companies, crypto banks.
Okay, so
right?
that's different. If you'd rather be supporting,
I feel safer, and I'd rather support. Right? I would feel safer in Coinbase than my bank now. I would. Yeah, 100%.
So
I know I'm not going to get shut down for crypto activity.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, Coinbase can definitely freeze your account. That's happened to multiple people.
I just got an email from my bank saying I can only do up to $10,000 a month in digital deposits. 10K.
Okay, but Coinbase has frozen large accounts that are trying to withdraw large amounts of money as well, and centralized exchanges have done that. And
but I mean, Coinbase does $50,000-$60,000 daily for most accounts. I'm not talking about
banks
millions of dollars.
do
I'm
too.
talking
And
about,
I'm not here to support the bank side. What I'm saying is that I think
sounds
that
like
banks,
it.
well, no, because
You would trust your bank over Coinbase?
so I'm not, I've never had a problem with my bank or any bank I've ever used, even with crypto, which is actually weird because I've never had like a bank, Capital One, Citibank, Capital One, Citibank, pretty much the two that I mainly used before. Never had an issue ever with anything like that, right? And I think most Americans feel that way. Every once in a while, I think you'll have like a story about some horror story, but you do as well within crypto, with centralized exchanges. So I think it's more of, for me at least, supporting these crypto entities because you want it. I know what the banks are getting away with, at least, like
Yeah.
from the interest shared. I know they're getting away with keeping a lot of that. And so that makes me want to support crypto more, but safeguards wise, I feel like they're about the same as Coinbase, but I think Coinbase can get better, especially if, they continually get like stronger with the government in terms of, guaranteeing stuff like that, then they'll definitely trump it. And I think that's what the banks are worried about. It's kind of like, if we lose the interest market to earn on high interest savings accounts or these yield accounts, CDs, et cetera, and for the more wealthy, they want to park millions of dollars, because if they're making 5% off of 20 million or 10 million, that's salaries, right, every year.
Yeah.
So if they lose that, then they lose a ton. And then what does that mean for the next step for them?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. But like, let's say this. Let me ask you this question. Let's say you 100K in cash, right? You want to keep it in cash because it's your backup money. It's your savings, right? And you don't want to. You already have enough Bitcoin. You don't want to put it in any type of asset. You want it in cash to make sure your bills are paid. And your bank's giving you 1.7% yield on that stable coin, right? Coinbase is like, hey, we'll give you 3.4%, and then Crypto.com is like, we'll give you 4.7. Where are you putting that 100K?
Of course, because I can get more.
Where are you putting it though?
Oh, say it again. What was that?
Coinbase at like 3.1, Crypto.com at 4.7, and your bank at 1.7.
I would probably put it at a 4.7 in crypto.com. And the reason why is because they're more and more getting involved, and they've always done regulatory stuff. Like they've been ahead of it. So,
but if
MEXC was 4.7 though.
I
think I would. If I'm just saying, if they were, I would definitely take Coinbase over them.
100%. That's what I mean. But I'm just saying that you're going to see regulated entities that are very strong, right, giving you more and more yield. Whether that's WillFi and stuff like that. Like I would trust WillFi, if deposit there and stuff like that. Like I would, because it's the Trump kids. Like what I mean. As long as Trump's president, I'd feel safe there, right? So it's kind of like it's one of those things where. But that's what the banks are afraid of. The banks are afraid of real entities, like real companies that have arenas and large sums of money giving you more yield, right? But we did see stuff happen like FTX, so you do have to be a little more wary. But we've also seen Silvergate. We've also seen that craziness.
That was
running.
A lot of people were blaming crypto for that.
Well, it was Elizabeth Warren shut it down, so she can blame crypto all she wants. We know in reality that it was them. Well, it was Terra Luna. And it had.
I was going to say, because they did have gaps that they were trying to fill.
Yeah, but normal banks, the Fed comes in and fixes the problem. This happens all the time with.
They were kicked out of the club.
They were kicked out of the club. So, and again, Silverbank could have been saved, but they chose not to save it. So. But moving along, any last words on this before we move along?
No. I think that's a good discussion there. I almost used that for the headline too. It was between the two.
For sure. Former NYC Mayor Eric Adams is pushing back after NYC token chaotic launch. He says that they did nothing wrong. And here's actually the article here. Shout out to Timmy Shen. His spokesperson says claims of suspicion liquidity withdrawals are false, he says, insisting Adams did not move investor funds or profit from the token. Adams is saying that 900K that disappeared out of the liquidity pool, I have no idea what happened to it. No idea. And he said it was just investors, doing things with their money, with their own money, their personal funds, and nothing to do with the token. No one got rugged, he said. But then you look at DexStrainer and you see a different story. I mean, for sure, right? I mean, this candle is I can't scroll down. I mean, this is the definition of a rug pull. It's gone.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because I remember seeing like candles like this with certain launches of like coins and stuff, and eventually like it would build back up if it was an actual protocol and stuff. It's like, oh, that's where when they launched. But these are even more intense. You're talking about, you know, going from like 500 million to 40. So I mean, over time, it just happens quicker here.
Yeah.
Right. Like whenever a token like this, right? So for example, you know, let's say a new really hot token launches for a protocol, it jumps to like, you know, a couple 100 million, and then within the next month the market gets, you know, worse and it just feels bad. I can see that token being at 50 million or something, you know, in the next 2 months, but this happens overnight. So that's the biggest difference, and that's why it feels like that. And they don't know that he doesn't know anything about this industry.
No.
He's just being guided by advisors that take care of all of the liquidity stuff, by the way, you know. So it's kind of like it's almost like just partnering with him for his branding and name, and then he's guaranteed a certain amount. That's not what I'm saying happened. I'm just saying that's pretty much how these, you know, deals work out.
So you're saying it's not Eric Adams sitting there with his wallet? You know, take a look.
Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think you're a dumbass if you even decide to get in this thing. Like at any point, like stay away from the shit. I think our space, if you want to trade it, right? But if you're looking at the stuff as an investment at all, you're just not a good at this game. You should probably think about doing something else, honestly. Moving along to somebody who is good at this crypto game, Tom Lee. Bitmine staked another 154,000 ETH, taking a total staked ETH of 1.68 million, about half of the amount of ETH that he has. They have about $12 billion of ETH. 5 billion of that is staked. So shout out to Tom Lee there. But the big news is Bitmine makes a $200 million investment into Mr. Beast Industries. And originally I was like, oh, that's cool. What is he trying to get? Like, you know, the music parks and the videos and stuff like that. But no, there's something else here. Let me play this video for you guys, because after I watched the video, I was like, holy crap, it is very crypto related in every way possible. I know if you can hear this.
In the world, as you know, Bitmine is the largest Ethereum treasury company in the world, the largest holder of Ethereum. And it's our view that Ethereum, which is a smart contract platform, is the future of finance, where digitalization of not only dollars, but stocks and equities is going to take place. And over time, that really blurs what is a service versus what's digital money. And that's where a collaboration and investment into Beast Industries makes sense. As you know, Mr. Beast is the #1 content creator in the world. His content is watched more than, for each of his videos, 252 million views a month, which is more than the Super Bowl. And really, he is probably the iconic person for Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and arguably millennials. So he is probably one of the most important creators in the world. Beast Industries, according to Jeff Hausenbold, is planning to create a future platform of services, which includes digital items and even financial services. And that's really where a collaboration between Beast Industries and Bitmine will make sense. So I think it's part of this sort of evolution of digital platforms and money. And I think it's really uniting the #1 creator in the world with the biggest Ethereum platform in the world.
So what do you think, man?
I think it's smart. I think it's genius, you know, partnering with the biggest creator in the world to, you know, try to bring adoption and education about Ethereum to the masses, right? So I think it's really smart.
Yeah, it makes me think that Mr. Beast is going to be dropping some DeFi protocols. or so maybe a centralized platform that uses DeFi in the background, where potentially you can earn 6% or 4% or 3% on your assets as well. I think Mr. Beast wants to get into the crypto game. You got to remember, Mr. Beast has been somebody who's been in Bitcoin since 2014. I mean, he funded a lot of his early videos with the money he made from hodling Bitcoin. He has a story to where someone broke into his house and they stole everything, but the one thing that they didn't steal was his private key. He said he had the private key on the laptop. They stole the laptop, but they did not get. And he had like I don't know. I think it was like $3 or $4 million in Bitcoin.
Wow.
And he was able to go run through his other computer that didn't get stolen and withdraw that to another wallet. So Mr. Beast in crypto has been something for a long time here, and now this partnership with Tom Lee. Tom Lee is such an amazing brain, dude. Like to even think about this being a good investment is absolutely insane. Ethereum and Mr. Beast, but it is. It's kind of the match made in heaven.
It is, and I also wonder what type of involvement Mr. Beast's digital products are going to look like in terms of using the blockchain for whatever, right? So, making a $200 million investment takes a lot of planning and risk assessment and collaboration, and I wonder what came of those meetings. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure there was a lot of discussion about, hey, how can you, with your brand, utilize this blockchain and use the power of it and really grow your models and do this as a team almost, right? Because $200 million is a lot. So I'm sure there was a lot of I'd love to be a fly on the wall in those discussions.
Yeah, for sure. Could you imagine? Like, I watch Mr. Beast videos all the time. I'm watching his show on Prime right now, Beast Games. And imagine like halfway through, like he normally does like for his chocolate, he'll be like Beast chocolate. He makes his own products because he says no one's going to give him the money he needs, so he has to create his own company. So he has festivals. Have you ever had the festivals?
I think I did have one.
Amazing.
You like them?
Chocolate. The best chocolate I ever had. Not even gonna lie.
Wow.
And
it's a big statement.
The Dubai chocolate's really good. I'm like 5 minutes in Hershey. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's Hershey's garbage, right? So it's kind of like it's one of those things
like
where
Hershey's though, the almond one.
Dude, you have the Mr. Beast almond one. You'll never.
Oh, they have an almond bar. Okay, I'll try that.
And they have a Reese's too. Oh my god, it's amazing. It's like almond butter instead of peanut butter.
He's getting paid by Mr. Beast, guys. He's getting paid. No, just kidding.
Hey, I'll take a check, but I just like the chocolate. But anyway, imagine like him stopping his video halfway through and just being like, "You can earn 4% on your Ethereum only on maybe he does a Lido type of thing." I think that is the direction Tom Lee is going.
Mr. Beast,
he's gonna do a centralized Lido, and it's gonna be called like beast staking.
I would think it would be more for entertainment, but then I'm thinking more, and I'm like, I feel like ETH is not necessarily going to be used for that anymore necessarily. You know what I mean? Like entertainment, No, entertainment. Like, like NFTs and stuff like that.
He's not going to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't. He was not going to put out an NFT collection or nothing.
Or something that's like,
he goes into
interactive or something. But if it's just a straight up financial product, but like that, I don't know. I feel like that would be weird. Like Mr. Beast, like.
Company. What is he has.
I feel like chocolate aligns with him more because it's kind of like like he started when he was young.
Entire show,
huh?
Bitcoin has been a part of Mr. Beast since the beginning.
Oh, he talks a lot about Bitcoin on his shows.
Well, he's never talked about it, but he talks about in interviews that it funded his without the Bitcoin number going up in 2014, he would have never been able to continue doing the videos.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So.
What's
up?
I said he was young then, I think, right?
He's like 24. He's like 26, whatever he is. So yeah, 100%. So he like I said, Mr. Beast probably in his 30s, right?
I don't know. I just remember when he started, like I saw the videos. He looked so young.
Yeah. Ethereum hit a new record of 2.6 million daily transactions. So yesterday we talked about the wallets. Today We're getting this basically saying that, Ethereum is now, I mean, it's never been higher than today. I have a chart to show you guys right now. It's never been higher than today, which is crazy because you can send an ETH transaction for $1. Maybe the upgrades are working, but something feels weird. Something feels off. That yesterday we're getting
forced?
300,000 new wallets yesterday, and today we're getting all-time high in transactions when the gas prices are $1. Something just doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely you question and say, who are these? And I wonder if there's more data about that because I feel like if you're putting out that there's new 300,000 new wallets 2 days in a row,
Well, no,
then
this is now the transactions. So
okay,
yesterday was the wallets, today's the transactions.
okay, then I think you're obligated to follow up with that and say this is most, what our data is saying is it's pointing to that this is mostly retail or institutions doing this for their client base or whatever. Because I mean, this is interesting for sure. It makes us want to, I guess, not be lazy and try to figure it out ourselves. But
well, I tried. There's no information. There is like I asked ChatGPT. I was like, why is this happening? And it's just said adoption has happened. That's the only thing ChatGPT gave me.
Yeah, adoption. That's still big possibilities, right? Like, is it clients? Because I can see it being clients. Opening individual wallets per account. Because you have to kind of have a separate
you wouldn't
one.
do that though,
Why?
because like Coinbase like doesn't do that.
What do you
Like,
mean?
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, they
Coinbase
do.
doesn't.
I have a different
Only
address
for
than you do.
yeah, but that's only for your deposits, so they know it's you. Like
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm
it's all
saying though.
connect-
Like if there was like a new entities that were coming into our space and they want to assign wallet addresses to account, then this is something that would make sense. You get what I'm saying?
when you withdraw, it's coming from a hot wallet. When you deposit, it's only in that wallet for like a few hours, then it gets deposited in the hot wallet.
I
It's
mean,
credits to your account and then taken to the hot wallet. So it's like,
I mean,
you know what I
still
mean?
though, there's still addresses there that you have to create, and it's associated with it.
Yeah.
With my account, right? So if there's new players in the game coming from TradFi, or maybe they have a different approach, but they are assigning addresses, they're not going to do one huge wallet for all the accounts. They're probably going to create a new wallet per account just because that wallet is dedicated to this account. So I don't know if that's the case, but that's something that makes sense to me. Is it just 300,000 more retail users? I don't think that's the situation.
I don't think so either. Yeah, in one day, no way. No, I don't think there's 300,000 people in crypto. Period. Right now, like honestly, on day-to-day on naked transactions, I'd be shocked if it was over 200K. So yeah, you're probably right here now I think about it, because when you do it, when you like for MEXC, I have a deposit wallet. It's always the same, right? And then eventually that gets taken to the hot wallet. You can see it, like if you look in the transaction, 1 hour after I deposit, it goes to the almost like a bot's doing it, right? Because it's right to the hour. I'm sure Coinbase has a very similar process as well. But yeah, you're probably right. It is probably some big entity that is just creating accounts for all its users. But the transactions, like, are they making are they just sending, like, I feel like it was super
on their behalf
expensive to do Ethereum, right? It'd be like,
but the gas has gone down quite a bit comparative to what it was.
Yeah, it's still
before
more though. So if you're airdropping 300,000 wallets, it's going to be minimum 300K.
Yeah, but imagine this though, right? So let's say it's $1 per transaction, and you're a TradFi entity, and now what you can do is charge $1.50 on top, saying this is for the Ethereum transaction costs, and so you get to pocket that 50 cents.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So they're gonna find any crevice, any type of hole, anything for them to make their profit, their revenue increase. They're gonna find it, and they're damn good at it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Arthur Hayes predicts Bitcoin will rally as dollar liquidity expands in 2026 through Fed balance sheet growth, bank lending, and mortgage rate drops in his latest essay. So Arthur Hayes has been correct pretty much all of last year. He called the crash in April. He was very bearish, saying Bitcoin's going down to 77. He did call the upward momentum on Ethereum at the all-time high. He called the upward movement on Hyperliquid. He called the top on Hyperliquid. And now you have him coming out today and saying he expects 2026 to be very bullish. But we do know that 2026 is 11 months, of we have left of this year. So when does that happen? I don't know, but he is calling for an expansion of all crypto assets in 2026.
This like second year of this administration, it makes sense because like the first year, I think most people expected pushback, but I didn't expect it to be that intense, especially for our space specifically. And so 2026 makes sense, right? If they can get like a lot of this stuff moving forward with clarity and all that stuff. Now, the fact that Coinbase and Brian Armstrong kind of backed off of support, that's a little bit concerning. But if they can get it right, then that goes away. Look, I mean, I hope this is the case. I really do, because I feel like, there's a lot of potential upside because that didn't happen in 2025. So if we're in if the formula is there for this year, then it could help the entire space. Obviously, how the more gambling aspect of the space looks, I don't know, but I'm just talking about more of like, these builders that went away because they felt like they just weren't, their hard work wasn't equating to like success that can make them sustainable. And so this is something that can make those type of builders to come back. And we need those type of builders that are talented, that have the drive of a startup mind, that, the Silicon Valley in the beginning of that era, right? We need that over here.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we get it for sure. I do think, there's not enough investors, and there's going to be thousands and thousands of startups that are just coming up with just like 2-3 people, right? 2-3 people companies that used to be like 100 people. Now they're like 2-3 people just and AI. And there's not going to be enough investors. So what are they going to do? Well, they're going to launch coins, right? They're going to try to keep their business afloat somehow, and launching a coin could be that way. So I think you're right. I think we do see an expansion of a lot of startups coming into crypto, maybe for the first time, and then maybe the people who did leave because they're just so tired of meme coins outperforming really good projects, they come back. So I do feel like that, but like I'm still in the mindset of thinking that, what if we don't get a alt season? What if it's just Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, exactly what we've seen last year, just repeating?
There's an interesting scenario that just popped in my head that I think definitely could be a possibility of playing out. And it's due to the availability of AI and vibe coding. So the people that are here, that remain here, there is a good percentage of the people in our industry that care about the industry, that still have strong conviction for it, and that have great ideas for the space that can either make it better or fix issues that currently exist. Now more than ever, those people have been given much, much more power to be able to make these type of ideas and thoughts and, you say, dreams come true, because they can utilize, Claude and be able to vibe code their exact idea into reality and then push that out there. So I think there's going to be more attempts at better, more substantive stuff that's better for the space than ever this year. And so that is something that can fix the loss of developers as teams, the traditional way of going through trying to raise and this and that and the other. And yeah, we lost probably a lot of good teams. Probably lost some teams that probably needed to be lost too as well. Now this year, the people that remain, they have this opportunity in front of them, and all that they need to do is have an idea that really sticks, and then like the money comes after that if you can have something that sticks. So look out for that, because what that could do too is like not worry so much about the alt market, because they're coming out with these products, and if they decide to launch a token with it and all these things, there's going to be more interest. I think that's going to be one of the biggest drivers that people maybe not even be thinking about, right? It's like these individuals in our space that care about the space have more power than ever to be able to apply idea to pad to execution than ever.
Yeah, 100%. But does that worry you though, that like every good product is going to have 10 more copycats? So it's going to be hard. So as soon as you see something getting an investment, you just fork it, tell AI, hey, look at this code and create me my own. And an hour or 2 hours later, you have the same product.
So I think that at that point, it's going to be a marketing war, right? So if there is, if that happens, because that's definitely a strong possibility that starts to happen, right? But you can only have so many successful versions of this or that, right? And so I think it's going to be a race as well as backing. Like, who's going to back them? Who's going to be, Polymarket, in my opinion, won that because, yeah, it was different, but also they had backing to where they raised money in 2023. Now, I'm not sure if you have to raise money right away. I don't think that's the case. You get your idea created, and then maybe you have a really solid product, and then you take. So there's going to be better products presented to the people that have money that are going to invest, I think, because it's just a numbers game at that point, right? Okay, we've been through these. There's already that, and so the selection and backing, because at the end of the day, that's how capital markets always work. Eventually, the money selects the winner.
Yeah, 100%. That's 100% true. Like, we'll see what happens. But if this investor picks this one, and you're right, it's gonna be a marketing race. Who can put their logo in
users?
Front of
who can get the users? Yeah,
and that's where we come in. But no, just kidding. Nikita Bier, ex-product lead and Solana ecosystem advisor, shared a chart showing the most searched hashtags on the platform. What do you think it is? What do you think is the most searched hashtag in the entire platform? It's almost a $2 trillion asset.
Oh, so it has to be okay, BTC.
Yep, you got it. Bitcoin is the most searched asset. You can see this is Bitcoin right here. Pretty much every day. It's what it's competing with XRP for sure, which kind of shocked me a little bit, but it's pretty much the top one here. But it's crazy. You are seeing Tesla, Iron, ASTS, I don't know what that is. ONS, I don't know what that is. XRP, GME, MBS, Open, and ETH is in there, as well as the top 10 most searched assets in Twitter. I don't know. I think this is really transparent of them to put this out.
It is. I am a little shocked though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. XRP, I'm not shocked that they're competing with it, because that the XRP army in marketing that was rolled out for that was probably the best ever. The reason why Bitcoin is the winner here is because it's just legacy. It started the entire industry, and it will win. It's just like it will be number one in terms of market cap forever. I think that. And then you see XRP with its strength and how they did the marketing and reach and painted all the pictures. I mean, going back to 2017, 2018, 2019, even 2020, those, being able to look at thinking about one XRP coin being worth like $10,000 because of the whole Swift narrative, that was probably one of the biggest false narratives ever in our space.
And if you think about that, though, if you sat down and just thought for a second, okay, this bank is going to buy $1 billion worth of XRP, right? It's going to buy it, it's going to send the XRP, and then it's going to convert it back to cash. It just doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense, because why not just buy a stable coin, send the stable coin, and just keep the stable coin? Like, it's just such an outdated way of thinking. And there's like, oh, XRP is super fast. I mean, Solana is it's just as fast. I mean, it really is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty much instant when I send Solana to the wild. Like, they're not going to care if it's 3 milliseconds longer than XRP, right? And then you're worried about, you have to hold the XRP token because you can't run real coins on the XRP ledger because they don't have a real standard. Everything's off chain. So it's like, it's not like USDC can run on XRP. It's not going to happen. Or even RLUSD is running on Ethereum. It's not even running on XRP.
Not even with like a
off-chain indexer.
Not even with that.
I mean, I think you can have it on there, but it's doing like no volume.
I mean, so I think you should clarify for the audience. It lives on the chain. It's just being indexed, not by the chain.
It's very similar to Ordinals. It's an off-chain indexer.
There's some sort of code language that's being added to the chain that tells this off-chain indexer you have this, many of this stable coin or whatever on XRP. Same situation for like you mentioned, meta protocols on Bitcoin.
Exactly. It's exactly the same thing. You got to remember, XRP at the end of the day is pretty much just a fork of Bitcoin.
Cardano is the same thing, though. Cardano's all off-chain
Yeah,
indexing
same thing. I think
with
100%.
smart
I think
contracts.
I think off-chain indexers, I think they have a time, but I think, I think we have to figure out ways to create on-chain indexers and stuff like that. So like it's very similar to what ICP is doing for ordinals, right? You can use another chain, but as long as there's this decentralized way, and you can if Casey decides to make an adjustment to his indexer or something like that, that your asset's still going to be stuck. Could you imagine if Casey does something happens and he does something, and one day your node monkey is not in your wallet no more? The Satoshi still is, but the actual node monkey or something is actually missing. This could definitely happen because it's a centralized version. But then you look at ICP,
yeah,
and you're like, okay, I have it over here, but I don't have it over here. What's going on?
and you could prove it from a logic standpoint that what the ICP indexer for ordinals is showing is correct. And because one thing you can do without any indexer at all is you can see the transaction data, at least of what is being presented in each transaction on Bitcoin, right? And so
so the Satoshi, that's the thing though, because the Satoshi will still be in your wallet, but indexing that image into that group of Satoshis, that's what the indexer does. So you're still no change happening to your wallet.
But you're still gonna see, but what you're gonna see on the blockchain transaction is a JSON
you won't
script.
see a transaction because the Satoshi never moved.
Huh?
You won't see a transaction because the Satoshi never moved. If Casey indexers glitches or makes a mistake, you're not going to see anything on the Bitcoin blockchain because the Satoshi's isn't in there. So all they are doing is indexing those Satoshi, saying that node monkey lives on that Satoshi. But if that indexer makes like an error or something and it moves to a different Satoshi, then your node monkey's no longer there.
Yeah, but you can look at historical data from Bitcoin's blockchain, and you can look at that exact transaction. And then you can say
dig into that Satoshi. You have to find it.
Yeah, but you could still do it. It's possible, right?
Yeah,
and
that's who are you going to prove it to? You're going to go to Magic Eden and say, no, it's this one. They're going to look at you and say, no.
I guarantee if that were to happen and people lost like millions of dollars, there would be 1,000%, in my opinion.
How do we know
a bunch of people?
Yet?
Well, because people would have brought it to light. You know what I mean? When people get affected by their pockets, they're going to try to prove that happened, right? And if they can prove it by looking at past transaction data for Bitcoin's blockchain, which is there, then you can line it up with Omnity's indexer and say, okay, this matches with this.
That's kind of my point. Having an on-chain indexer.
That's what I'm saying. So you don't have to, but you don't have to worry about.
But the whole point was XRP, right? So I was using that as an example of what could happen on XRP if they do not have on-chain indexers. That was, that's kind of what I was pointing, that we need to bring our indexers on-chain.
Well, I mean, Vitalik thinks that they're going to be useful, or they're useful, but he's probably.
But he also has the ERC-20s, so he's not worried about that.
Yeah, but my point that I'm making is that like they are important for layer 2s though. In case like the data that flows up, right? He wants to make sure that like he's saying that in some situations, like in off-chain indexing it's fine because it's needed for certain situations. Yeah. But for layer ones, yeah, I think that the approach is, if you can, obviously there's technical blockage, right, for Bitcoin for that to happen.
Yeah, and I'm kind of I don't know. I'm just kind of like XRP is just a meme coin at the end of the day.
That is immensely successful in terms of its market cap.
No, it's the number one meme coin in the entire world. It's up there with GME. But I do not think GameStop is a good company. It's one of the most popular companies in the world, but I think their business model is shit. The only reason they're open.
It's gotten better.
What I mean? But
it's gotten better.
Well,
it's
still not a top 1,000 company in the world.
Yeah, what saved them definitely was the meme.
And that's the same thing with Ripple and XRP. That's just kind of my point.
True.
Right?
That is true. That is what supported them.
That has ever existed. XRP. But that's it. It's not more than that. CME Group to launch Cardano and Chainlink futures. So obviously we all know about the CME gaps, and everybody talks this shit. Now we're going to have that for Cardano and Chainlink. So we do know we have a Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, HBAR I think has one, and now they're going to be adding Cardano and Chainlink to it. So we'll see what happens. But these are just futures. These are very similar to perps. Futures is basically how Arthur Hayes got the idea for perps, right? It's just a future contracts. So what do you think, man? Cardano and Chainlink trading.
CME, man, is like they're like the leader in this type of category on TradFi. So they know what they're doing, man. They know what they're doing. Yeah,
Chicago
yeah.
Mercantile Exchange for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are associated directly to them, contributed and stuff. So I'm sure that a lot of quants just work in some room for them.
100%. OpenSea, they've partnered with MetaMask Rewards Season 1 to award points based on where you finished in the last wave of your rewards program. So if you guys haven't done this yet, highly recommend go to your MetaMask on your phone. It's the easiest way to do it. You'll see a rewards button. It's on the very right bottom side. Hit the rewards button and then hit lock in. If you lock that in, you'll lock in your points for your MetaMask. And then next Thursday, you're going to wake up and you're going to be claiming your Lena. Is it called Lena?
Linea,
Like Bitcoin,
I don't know.
Linea. Yeah, Linea blockchain. You'll be claiming some Linea tokens. You know, if you I was reading it, you know, if you're level 1, you're gonna be getting between like $50 and $100. If you're level 2, you're gonna be getting between $50 and $200. Level 3 is saying like $200 to like 400, and then level 5 is like $500 and more. So if you are level 5, it means you have 60,000 points or 100,000 points. I only have 45,000 points. So I'm going to be getting probably between $300 and $400 worth of the Lena token. And this is all guesstimations. I don't know exactly. It could be more, it could be less. But this is kind of what I've been running through ChatGPT, and it kind of looked at it through how much they're giving away $30 million. So if you break that down, that all the wallets, ChatGPT said it's not going to be a lot of money, but it's going to be good. But then what happens next? Do you also get the mask token, or does it start over? Does it give a full reset? And it doesn't reward past users anymore. Maybe we just go forward from this day, and then now you're starting next Friday. Potentially, you're earning from the that point on. I don't know. What do you think?
I think they split this up intentionally to not like put too much pressure on the mass token. I believe that. I truly do. Yeah. And OpenSea, it makes sense for them. I mean, like they're in the same class. Like graduating class, right? Like OpenSea and MetaMask, like MetaMask obviously before OpenSea, but like they're the OGs, right? And so for them to partner, it's interesting. It's good to see, I guess. And giving back to their holders and or the participants in their protocols here. So I'm ready for some sort of airdrop. I think the entire space is.
Even if it's a couple $100, honestly. Yeah. But the mass token could be massive. Could be massive. But with some more MetaMask stuff, kind of shocking. MetaMask Tron is now live on MetaMask. We do know that, like, let's say you want to use Merlin chain, you have to put it in the custom network. But now, for the first time ever, you don't have to do that with Tron no more. Now it's just going to be one of the assets living on top. You're just going to be up there with Base Chain and all these other L2s and stuff that use MetaMask. But is it shocking to you that they're just putting Tron in there?
I feel like the barrier between East and West has kind of gone out the way in terms of the entities, right? These companies that are infrastructure players. I feel like Eastern popular tokens and protocols were really just vetted extremely to the point to where they couldn't get. I mean, Coinbase didn't have BNB forever. You know what I mean? And that's crazy to me because BNB has been a top 5 or top 10 token for quite some time. And for them to add them on, I felt like there was this tension between East and West like entities, and it seems to be going away. I think that's a good thing. Obviously, there needs to be trust that continually builds up there, but this is a good sign that like the digital asset space is merging as one. Now, geopolitically, I'm sure that there's probably governments that don't love that this is happening, but for the space, I think this is good. This is a good thing.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Do you think that this should have been done years ago, though? I mean, this is MetaMask, right? They have BNB for years.
I think that it should have, but I understand why it wasn't.
Okay.
Because they didn't want. Now you're on the target of Gary Gensler because he's a part of, he's the SEC chair that is a part of the previous administration that, intelligence agencies, there's this whole geopolitical thing of, don'ts and do's. And I think that was probably a don't, you know what I mean? Like, because now you're going to be under scrutinized for like, why are you bringing them on? What do you even know about them? Like, have you seen their books and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, get hassled for them and Coinbase and everybody else. I feel like for the most part, they were just kind of like, okay, we're going to be safe as possible in terms of listing things, adding them into our protocols. And now with this administration, I think that barrier has been removed for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think the mass token as well, because what they're going to do, and this is just me kind of thinking, like it's going to be the governance token of the wallet. So eventually, you know, if you want, let's just say, I don't know, Merlin chain to be a connected wallet there, very similar to Ethereum, BNB, and now Tron, you can 51% would have to agree to it. So now they're at a liability, like, hey, we're governed, we're a decentralized governance protocol. They voted for this, we did it.
Yeah, that could happen. That can work. And that's another thing too, is that like how I guess how much involvement is the governance process going to be in our space with major protocols in the future, right? Because governance has always been this thing that, you know, has been around since tokens and new projects going back from last cycle. And because if it doesn't like increase, or at least like the acknowledgement of like these deals, there's headlines, but they're just like not mainstream headlines ever.
Yeah.
Will that ever be a thing, you think? Where like
Yeah, I
CNBC
think
is
so.
like saying like MetaMask had a governance voting this morning, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it sounds like a headline if they're talking about it, but
legacy media, they're so slow to adopt anything, right? So they're just talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum.
But adoption is a part of like legacy media reporting on stuff. So I almost wonder.
I can have a crypto show where this is one of the bigger things, right?
Yeah,
so
we'll see.
Like if Jim Cramer comes on 6, maybe have something on at 7, because right now it's just Shark Tank reruns. So I could definitely see that. So okay, so speaking of MetaMask, hop on this one. MetaMask has responded to Richard Hart, stating the issue is now fixed. So Richard Hart had this issue with Pulse Chain. I don't know if you ever use Pulse Chain, but I've used it. And when you're using it, it's very similar to how Merlin is, where it doesn't give you the price of the Bitcoin or the price of the Merl. It just says how much you have there. But with Pulse Chain, they were giving you like a red signal. Like it almost felt like your wallet was broken. So Richard Hart said, red triangle with exclamation mark in it, malicious address. If you confirm the request, you will probably lose your assets to a scammer. And then one of the guys from MetaMask said all warnings from this message and others should be resolved. So they went and fixed something for Richard Hart. Do you think Pulse Chain eventually gets listed with MetaMask?
That one, I think they need to work on some like I don't know. I think they need to work on some perception a little bit better. Like, you know what I mean?
Dude, Pulse Chain is kind of like, it's kind of like, you know, XRP. I mean, that community is strong.
No, I'm not saying that the community is not strong, but
yeah,
I just feel like, you know, what's relevant on Pulse Chain?
Pulse X, number one.
Dex. Is it
there.
AMM?
I mean, yeah.
Okay, so I don't.
Pulse X. But can you tell me number one Dex on Sui?
No, because
exactly.
I don't use it. I mean, I have gone to the Launchpad that they have.
But you know Pulse X? That's kind of cool.
So I have seen Launchpads on Sui and Pulse Chain. I haven't seen Launchpads, but Sui is backed by institutional money. So that is
backed by Richard Hart. Richard Hart has more money than some of these institutions.
But I feel like if you're backed by institutional money, it's kind of a cheat code to increase your reputation, just because the money pushes it and they know the networks, right? When it's tied to one individual, I think that person's reputation matters more, and I think that's kind of the situation with Pulse Chain, right? I'm sure that they have some sort of Launchpad there and all these things as well, but I do think that there needs to be. I don't think it gets listed like right now. I think there needs to be something big that comes out of that chain or something. And unfortunately, I just think that's the case for Pulse Chain. But if they do, then sure, they'll be added.
I think Richard Hart buys up 51% of the mass tokens and then makes all the changes. And then it becomes the Pulse Chain wallet. It gets rid of all of it.
I think that happens more than like being listed on like Coinbase or something.
Yeah, for sure. One more thing here. So I just talked about Richard Hart. Now we're going to be talking about Jack Levin, who has his own chain called X1.
What's going on with that?
Hold on, I got some Tully news here from the CEO of Solana. Today we had the largest number of SVM block producers in the world. So they haven't done their airdrop yet. The only way to get the XCN token is being a validator. So right now it's just the validators validating the network and doing things here. The builders, there's really no dApps yet. But you had Tully, who is one of the founders of Solana, says congrats, because you got to remember X1 is a fork of Solana, to the point where if you're using Backpack, it just your XTN tokens or XNT tokens just look, it says Solana when you're using it. So because it's just a fork of Solana, right?
But they should probably fix that. The meta.
Well, that's a Backpack thing, right? So they're trying to get Backpack to do
but
it.
Wouldn't there be like a like some sort of like indicator or something within the token standard metadata or something to let them know it's not Solana?
Well, I mean, so all they did was rename Solana XNT, right?
Okay.
So when the wallet's reading it, the wallet's just like, this is a fork of Solana, very similar to a testnet, right? And
Gotcha.
this is the main token. Yes, you know, in the when you look into the block explorer, it's XNT, right? It's reading that way, but just because Backpack is that, it comes up as Solana, which is annoying. But Tully says congrats. You guys should switch to Alpengolo fork early. And he said, thanks, looking forward to it, and we'll contribute back where we can. So are we about to see layer 2s being built on Solana? Are we going to see...
Would this be considered a layer 2, or would it be considered more like a BSC, like a Chronos and like a Avalanche, right? Towards EVM compatible, using Solidity to build out the languages and stuff like that. I feel like seems like from this post that's what he did, right?
More
But
like a side chain, yeah.
But that's kind of where it started, right? It started like that with Ethereum, and then you start to see the L2s and stuff. I think so. I think if they don't have a ton of friction to be able to roll up the transactions and land them on Solana, I think we probably do. It's not going to be necessarily for speed. It would probably be for cheapness, like the transaction cost maybe, but it's already pretty cheap on Solana, but you can always get cheaper, you know, in this world. I feel like, so I think it would be more about that.
Yeah, I think it's a long-term game too, right? Because Solana right now is perfect, but what happens if we get mass adoption? I think some of these L2s are going to be sought after, right? And what if X1, Jack Levin's product, is the number one L2 on Solana, and servicers?
Yeah,
that's the thing. I mean, like Robinhood, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Building basically on Arbitrum, have forked Arbitrum, and Arbitrum's helping them roll up the transactions, land them on Ethereum. What if we see something like that? But do you think X1 could be the number one Solana L2?
I mean,
first mover advantage.
I think that they have the most potential to be like, okay, this is a fork of Solana, or if it turns into an L2, yeah, they have the most potential because they built it. I mean, Jack love him or hate him. He's in that class of Richard Hart, bit boy, in terms of not like crazy personality, but almost kind of like the way that things happen with him. You know, he changes his mind a lot. Well, I feel like he changes his mind a lot. There's drama associated with him, you know, with the whole yeah, you gotta admit, like, he pivoted a lot, like, you know, going from X1 to Zen to
Zen's
building
still a working product.
No, I'm saying pivoting in terms of his focus, going from Zen to building in the Bitcoin ecosystem, which he was trying to put a big presence there, and he had all that stuff, the bridge and all that stuff for the vampire token or whatever. That whole thing was weird because he was like using like the vampire, like it was just a weird situation. Then going to like building an ETH like version of
Sonic.
X1.
Phantom,
yeah, and then going to finally landing on the SVM approach, which I think that was probably the best option anyways, because it probably technically it's better for what he wants to do with everything.
Yeah, and there is really no building for Zen at this point, right? Because what Zen does is it's created, it's an 8-year plan, right? So in the last 4 years, there's like no inflation. So it's 4 years in and then no inflation the next 4 years. So
8-year plan and crypto sounds like 80.
Well, he put that in there back in 2022, right? So by 2030, so Zen wasn't really like a pivot. He did try to build products around it, and those products really didn't really help at all. So he kind of
But some of the builders
But
in
then
his ecosystem really got upset towards the end.
there is no builders in his ecosystem.
No, I
That's just
said the ones that were
DXN.
there. Yeah,
No, it was just DXN. They're still building. They're actually building on
I know,
X1.
but they were pretty upset with the whole situation towards the end. I remember they would go on Spaces. I listened to them a couple times where they were want to vent their frustrations and stuff.
They're
Or
pretty
maybe
loyal to Jack, though.
maybe it was like the
They're
Phoenix
still
builder or
building.
something. Or there was multiple different like
Yeah, the
protocols
Phoenix
that,
builder, he's no longer building on X1. I don't know what he's doing now,
Yeah.
but he built some burning protocol and stuff like that. But yeah, for sure, there was definitely some frustration because Jack did seem to want to build this X1 thing, and X1. I mean, Zen people are apparently getting this airdrop, right? That's kind of like what everyone's kind of hoping for there.
that can solve everything,
But
right?
with Bitcoin, I feel like, and you know, you mentioned like, you know, he pivoted to like an ETH type of thing. He was trying to do a DAG, but the DAG didn't work right, so then he pivoted to Solana. So I do feel like he was just trying to figure out the best way to do it. So it was never like a product.
That's fair.
He never put out a product. He put out testnet, and you know, it was a Zen X1 testnet. It didn't work on as a DAG, so then he tried to move it here, and then he's like, you know what, I'm just going to fork Solana, and that's what he's been working on for the last year and a half here. And he has 1,400 validators. There's 1,460 validators. That's more than like some blockchains. That's more than probably like Sui, honestly. That's a lot of validators, but you know, the Zen community is a lot of faithful people.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, if you can build a cult, then you can have Hex, and then you can have Pulse Chain, and then you can have Pulse X, and you can have all these things, right? And so we'll see what happens with X1.
Yeah, and you know, Monte Carlos says, respectively, you guys all know Pulse Chain is a sleepy giant. I actually think so. I actually think once ProveX launches, I think we see some movement there for sure. But let's kind of get into our last and final thing here, which is a news from the trenches. Bonk put out a tweet. They said, everyone agrees creator fees are too damn high. Today is the first step in bringing the trenches more in line. First, we are introducing Bonk Classic launches. We both read the tweet. I think it's absolutely garbage. I think it's the stupidest thing that they could have possibly done. You are seeing, you know, Pump Fund kind of dig further into the creator rewards by giving it to 10 people and trying to find ideas. Bonk's like, no, you guys ain't getting the creator rewards, but hey, this is what we'll do. We'll drop the fee per trade from 1% to 0.3, so everyone wins. I think Bonk is being led by a bunch of idiots. I really do.
Where this could play out in their favor is more token trading volume, and for the bots.
Why would you create one there?
Well, I mean, anybody can create tokens. Even their team could just create tokens all day, right? So I think it's more of like, you know, there's a lot of automation and bot trading happening to where it comes down to like a lot of times fee percentage for your strategy, right? So if there's constant scalping happening and you're able to get away with that because the fees have been decreased, you know, substantially, then there's going to be more volume on these tokens. Where I think they went with this though was, I think they took, you know, a slight at Pump Fund for sure, because Bonk, first of all, they never gave anything close, from what I noticed, anything close to the creator reward size as what Pump was given their creator rewards, which was creating, you know, it wasn't a great thing because it created like there's already a saturation of tokens on Pump. Then what it did was it created devs to just want to create the next token, right? Now, at the end of the day, it made Pump do really well in terms of transactions and earn fees and revenue and stuff like that. And what I think from this is just kind of taking a little stab there at them, and because there is a part of the trader community that saying that creator rewards did really kill a lot of these tokens' potential to reach 10 million, 15 million, 20 million.
Was it that or was it the market?
I think it was a little mixture of both. I do, because like what you get from that, let's say the market was struggling, right? Now it's even more intensely struggling because any token that was trying to get momentum was PvP'd right away and then vamped, because if you vamp, dude, like vamping is smart as hell for creator rewards because you don't even have to think of a new narrative. You just vamp the one that's running right now, and then all of a sudden now you get $2 million in revenue, or not revenue, of volume, and then you just made 10K or whatever it was, right? 20K from a vamp, right? So In that aspect, I think that it was kind of like Blur, to where, you know, you beat down an already beaten down market in the NFT marketplace, in the NFT market, with their Blur points, and people just trying to earn points and stuff, flooring them cheaper and cheaper just to get the points because it outweighed how much you were making on the NFTs. That's what I think creator rewards did. Now, the change that Pomp put out there recently, I think that this could be a really solid solution. Let's see if the KOLs actually want to work a little bit together and see if they do this, because like you can split the rewards, split between 5 different people. If you have a good team, the PvP should probably stop on those tokens specifically, because now you have influential people, you know, in theory, on crypto Twitter trying to make this token successful.
Yeah, but you got to remember too, the creator fees stopped founders dumping tokens on their people, right? So instead of you trying to make money through,
Not the greedy ones.
Well, I'm just saying, most people, yeah, you can go start a new coin and start over, but like if you created the coin and potentially, you don't dump on your people, you live off the fees. It gave you a reason to not dump on your people, right?
So I think initially, yes, but the problem is that they tiered the fees by $0 market cap to $0 market cap to 10,000 market cap being the highest creator fee earned, and then from 10,000 to bonded another tier, and then bonded to like 2 million, and then once it got past like 10 million, it dropped substantially. So like in a sense, it's almost kind of like, well, I don't want this token to get to the 20 million, 30 million, because like I'm not going to earn much fee percentage from this. I'd rather just rinse and repeat, getting it to 1 million or 2 million.
The volume's
for the next token.
Point, so you're still making the same amount. It's just not going up.
Not necessarily.
Right?
So, no, not necessarily, because the attention to the token, well, if you can make it like the best token, sure, I think that works in a better market, right? So if the market's healthier and stuff, then yeah, what you're saying would work, and you would focus on keeping that going. But in the market that we were in, the strategy to make the most money was get a token possibly to 1 to 5 million. If that can happen, you can make tons of money. Just ranging between that amount, and then once it dies off, get your next token that you can do that again, rinse and repeat. And it's hard to do that, first of all. So a lot of times what they would do is, the people that were successful, they would try to shoot for more of like $200,000 to $500,000 market cap tokens, and then try to repeat that.
I'm talking about like the bag work people, right? The guys who
didn't happen as much.
Hold on. So the bag work people and stuff like that, like that's what we need to see more in the space, right? We need to see more of that type of stuff. Not getting arrested, not doing dumb shit, but like that type of team where they had 0% of the supply, 0. But they got paid off the creator rewards. That doesn't happen with Bonk. That doesn't happen with this thing right here. They need to buy their token and then dump it slowly on their followers. They have to. It's the only way they're making money. That's the only way they can make money for these gets to get to these UFC games or whatever, right? Or whatever the fights or whatever. They need to dump on their followers. That's the only way they can do stuff and keep their content going.
But it
can't
will
do that on
Are you
Bonk.
talking about so the bag work guys eventually stopped because it just wasn't worth it?
Well, they got arrested.
Anymore.
No, they got told that they can't stream anymore because. But I'm not saying you don't need to do stuff to get yourself arrested. You can do things like that, but legal stuff.
If that model was a true model that was successful, then it would have been repeated after they couldn't stream anymore.
The problem was the market. I think
I know. So the market definitely had a lot to do with it, right? But that's why I think that specific strategy of what these developers were doing, and I'm totally hate that, by the way. I hate what happened. The fact that, the PvP vamping and stuff was actually a huge net positive for the deployers, because the deployers that were good at it, they made tons of money, but it was also the market kind of geared towards that, and then, in a high liquid market, almost anything goes, right? We saw that in 2021, 2022. So you don't even have to work that hard to really get something.
That again, though.
Yeah, I don't either.
So it's one of those things where, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be stuff like the bag work and stuff like that. But you can't do that again. You can't do that on Bonk. That stuff will happen on Pump, but I think Bonk
it needs to be a better
really
market for that to have successful as well, though. or
course, you need bear market for
acceptance.
anything in crypto to be successful. I'm just saying, like, it's going to bring streamers to stream on Pump because of the creator fees. They're not going to want to stream on Pump or stream on Bonk or do anything with Bonk if the only way they can make money is dumping on their people. That's the only way they can make money.
There definitely was very like high effort, concentrated, high effort from the crypto space, right? Communities, high effort in terms of trying to stream and make it work during the past, last half of last year. And it just didn't. The only ones that really stuck were Gainsey because he just likes to stream. He's streaming anyways. And then you had Rasmer do it. But you're talking about they were the highest market caps. And I think Gainsey was at like 2 million. And then Rasmer was between 1 and 3 or something. The Bagwork boys did get pretty high, but they eventually, quit.
Yeah, we both know crypto content is an all-time low.
It is
all-time low in viewership, right? So it's so hard for me.
But they tried to get mainstream people on.
And again, it's why would they come here? Like, there's no
make
reason
money
for them. Yeah, but there is no money. So
well, I'm just saying,
you know what I mean?
Well, the Bagwork boys did make money. They made
and then you
probably
saw
$200K.
some YouTube streamers and stuff did come here, but they didn't make any money, right?
Yeah,
There was
there's
no liquidity splash.
But it wasn't just crypto.
I'm not ready to say it didn't work.
No, at that time, I'm not saying the concept. Sometimes you can be too early, and that's probably one of those situations, right? But to say that it was only crypto content that didn't have success, that's not true, because there was people that came on try to do baking shows, and it was weird, but like I saw it, and they had a little success, and then they would just get stalled right away.
But no one's going to Pump Fun right now. I mean, the viewership on the Pump Fun live stream is just low, so that's kind of it too.
And right? that probably was a part of the problem too. Is like you're trying to start like the startup of a streaming platform, as well as make the formula successful. And without a ton of money geared towards the marketing aspect of it, that's going to be an uphill battle the entire time, no matter how much success you had in our space, which they did have a lot of success. So,
but Bonk fully gave up on creator rewards. They're fully just like, we don't.
I mean, they didn't. Their creator rewards.
They're basically saying, but they're basically saying, just dump on your followers. Just get your coins and slowly dump on your followers.
You could say that about like Pepe. You could say that about those tokens that like had huge success, and they are cabal driven, but they did get to those crazy high market caps, and we're not seeing that as often in Solana right now. I mean, White Whale definitely an anomaly there.
Yeah, but let's just say like the guy who created Doge got rewards for every trade. I mean, he would be out there every single day like, Doge, baby, Doge. You know what I mean? It would just create the founder would just be your biggest cheerleader. I think it just gives you that as well.
I mean, I think creator rewards would have been huge in 2021.
Oh my God. I think they will be huge again. I just think Bonk is being idiots here and taking them away, but we'll see. And our final thing, I know it's been a long show, is Minecraft Grandma. So Minecraft Grandma here, the 81-year-old grandmother is using Minecraft YouTube to help pay for her grandson's cancer treatments. Sue Jackcott, who created the channel just 1 month ago, has dedicated ad revenue in support to her grandson Jack, who was diagnosed with sarcoma. He is now approaching 200. She is now approaching 200,000 followers on YouTube. So somebody created her a coin. So it's hilarious. So she's yelling about how expensive stuff is, and she's building a little house, but the trenches created her coin, and we don't know, because the creator fees are going to her. That stopped with Bonk as well, right? But you can no longer send creator fees. You could send her some coin and she'll have to dump on everybody. But for this instance, you are seeing potentially, 30, what is it, volume, $9 million in volume. So she probably made like $90,000 in creator fees.
Where I think that, so first of all, if this is legitimate, like I'm actually happy for finally crypto Twitter doing a good thing for somebody, if this is legitimate, right?
Yeah.
But so, really quick though, I want to hit on something that, like, with the celebrity coins and all those kind of things, they should probably look. I think they would do so much better if they just did the creator new thing approach, because it would be so much more genuine. And I know in their mind they're like, I don't want to work for the Soldier Boy actually he streams on Pump Fun and he tries to dev, but he'll get a token to like 150,000 and is dead. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then he'll come back like 2 weeks later. But not that approach. Don't do that. But just maybe have a team of them, and then they could make a lot of money doing it, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Imagine if you're just like, you know, I don't know, a podcaster or something, and then you just create a coin and you're the coin's biggest cheerleader, right? And it's like, I own 0 of this coin. Like, I'm just doing it for the creator fees. Like, I don't know. I think that's so genuine. It's such a
well,
yeah.
I mean, it's genuine if they tell that, you know, they're transparent like that, saying what it is for. But yeah, I feel like it's way better than like doing some backdoor deal with Hayden or some guy that can pump a token up to 500 million and then you dump it to 40 million instead. The coin could go to 500 million and then you could make like, you know, $500,000 on it or $1 million just from creator fees. And so that can kill that celebrity token, because those celebrity token things, like, you're right. Like, if you're getting into any of those, you're dumb. Sorry. I mean, that's my opinion.
You are, 100%.
Like, it's just how it is. And if you're an insider, then you're, you know, I think
part of the problem.
Personal opinion. Yeah. I think you're a crappy person, but that's my personal opinion.
100%. All right. That's our show for you guys today. Really appreciate everyone coming in and hanging out with us today. A little bit longer than normal, but we appreciate every one of you guys who hung out with us. If you're still here, put in the comments. I want to see who is still here rocking with us after this 2 hours, but appreciate it.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Without you guys, we could not do the show. We are so thankful for that. You know, you guys support us still, you know, throughout this entire time as the space has gotten slower, but we're still here. We show up to work every single day. Thank you guys so much for the support. But also, without our partners, we couldn't do the show for sure. So if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate that. Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI, as they are using their Wizard version 2.0 that can guide you through Merlin Chain's ecosystem, but it also can guide you outside the ecosystem. It can purchase Solana tokens or BNB tokens on your behalf. All you got to do is have some Bitcoin in your Merlin Chain wallet, which can be a MetaMask wallet or a Bitcoin wallet like Unisat or Xverse. And then it can purchase those popular tokens on Solana or BNB, right? Or BSC, I should say. But going back to Merlin Chain, it guides you through the ecosystem by being able to do DeFi swaps on your behalf, like Merlin Swap, or staking. And speaking of staking, they have a proof of stake security model, which you can participate in 3 ways. The first way is staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin, right? So it is a 3-month lockup period, right? They had their first staking vault in September 30th. The second one ended September 8th. And then this new one ends, it looks like February. Is that February? February 10th? I think so on that thing. March. My bad. March 29. Okay, March 9th. I think
September.
Okay, maybe it's extended then. So anyways, the APR for Bitcoin, you can see there, that was 9/20/25. So that was the first one I was talking about, 9/30/2025.
This one.
Yeah, so you can go to
April 14th. My bad.
Okay, April 14th right there. So just know that they shoot for that range of 8 and 21%. So you know, that's what they're shooting for. The first staking vault, definitely they were able to achieve that. Second one, I guess it was a little slower, harder for them to find those same asset values and stuff. So, but just know that they are going to try to get the best APR for you guys on that. And then there's 2 ways to participate on the Merlin Chain side with the Merlin Chain token. The flexible day-to-day, which is a 15% APR. You can claim your rewards every single day. If you want to withdraw your Merlin Chain tokens, there's a 7-day cooldown period, so know that. And then the last one is a bonded 6-month lockup period, and you earn 45% APR. It is locked up for 6 months, but a cool thing that they added for the 6-month lockup is that you can claim your rewards every single day and do whatever you want with those. So those are the 3 ways that you guys can participate in the proof of stake security model that they have on Merlin Chain. Visit merlinchain.io and follow them on Merlin Layer 2 on X. And then satsman.fun is our other partner here that has developed a decentralized launchpad for Bitcoin Layer 1 runes, right? So they made a very fun protocol to where anybody can launch their own rune, create your own community, and build it up through satsman.fun. And actually, they announced that they're going to be launching this in terms of opening it up to the public on the 19th, I believe, of this month. So you guys can start participating right away once it is open to the public. What happens is it's like a similar, like, other launch pads, except for they do a minting process, right? So if there's a hot token and you want to get involved, you can mint that token. If it mints out, they will take the liquidity over to richswap.io, and you can start swapping right away with your token there. So if it doesn't mint out, though, I believe they do a refund for that. So the risk is actually very limited in that aspect, right? So really awesome there. And then they have a part of satsman.fun to where you can start etching and securing short tail rune names, as those are continually going down with the blocks that are coming through. So you can start to basically lock up some of these names before they're available to just anybody. So 30 days out, once they are 30 days out, you can start bidding on them right away. It's really cool. There's a couple names out there that are coming out. Taproot, Satoshi. We did OnChain just to kind of show you guys through a video how it works. And by the way, if you go to our library on YouTube, you can find some educational videos about satsman.fun and creating a community in Rune on Bitcoin Layer 1 and the importance of Bitcoin Layer 1 assets. So go to satsman.fun and richswap.io. Check them out. This team is amazing. The Omnity team, check them out as well. And we appreciate you guys for checking out our partners. It really does honestly help us a ton when you guys do that. Thank you.
Yep. Great job, man. As always, and you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out onchainrevolution.io. Some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We have daily articles now, guys. Crypto market update, everything you guys need every single day. Come here first, learn about what is happening in the space. So definitely check out all these articles. There's so many really good ones as well. Check them all out here. If you guys need a VPN, I highly recommend Nord. Why would you need a VPN? Main reason is you can use stuff like Hyperliquid and MEXC. It is not your government stopping you from using these sites. It is the site stopping you from using them because they don't like your geolocation, which is bullshit, because on the internet you should be allowed to do whatever you want. I mean, that's freedom, right? Especially here in the US. Privacy is a right as well. So use your privacy and be able to use stuff like Hyperliquid, MEXC, and whatever you want to use out there. So definitely get yourself a VPN today. Make sure you use our link because it is $3. If you go to their website, you'll be paying $11. Use our link. It's $3. Lock it in for 2 years. Set it, forget it, be done with it, and then you have a VPN forever. And you can use up to 5 devices. Everything will have a VPN for you guys. And if you guys need a ledger, highly recommend using our site here. You get some discounts and stuff like that. So if you are going to buy a ledger, do it through us. Really appreciate that. And remember, guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain revolution roll call. Market recap. You not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed, gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain revolution.